Um, so my name is Jasmine Beatty. I am a first through 12th grade teacher in Virginia Beach at a small independent school for students with learning disabilities called Chesapeake Bay Academy. And I'm just really excited to be able to share some really amazing art-related topics that I've been kind of obsessed with. Julia is also here helping, so thank you, Julia. If you have any like tech issues, like I'm probably gonna have, you can reach out to her, like send her a message in the chat. But this session is really going to be about a community engaged art project, or really, I think it's officially a nonprofit now, based out of Richmond, Virginia, called Mending Walls. Has anybody heard of Mending Walls? Just like you could put up an emoji or something. I could see if yay or nay, or you can mention it in the chat. Um, I'm not sure. I'm having a hard time getting back to the chat, but I'll look at it later if you've heard of it or not. Just to give a quick kind of overview, I'm going to talk about it more later. But I went to school at VCU in Richmond. I got my graduate degree in art education there in 2020, and that was around the time that this project started. And it was after the murder of George Floyd that it kind of jump-started this project, and they pushed out 16 murals in 16 weeks that first summer in response to the racial uprising that kind of happened that summer. And that was around the same time that I started at VCU, and I just became really enthralled and obsessed with the project and finding ways to engage with it. They had civic talks, like via Zoom, where the artists would talk about the murals and community members were invited to come. And then they had community paint days, where community members were invited to start painting the murals. And so I just started to latch on to all these things throughout my time at VCU. And then it really just became a central piece of my graduate research. And then now it is a project that I constantly strive to incorporate in my teaching practice at large. So yeah, I'm really glad that you all are here and we can share it, and expand the ways of like engaging with this project. So the page you see right now is just special thanks of people that have been part of this collaborative process of engaging in this work, that have helped me. I'm not going to go over their names, but I just wanted to hold space for them. So yeah. Just to give a quick overview for the session today, I'm going to talk a little bit about what Mending Walls is and the resources that the project has available. And then I'll get into my own pedagogical approaches and practice, and ways that I've engaged with the project. And then the last thing will be a collaborative reflection, where we'll go into breakout sessions and reflect on Mending Walls mural using this See, Think, Feel, Wonder framework that I utilize a lot and that we are going to talk about in just a minute as well. But first, I just want to give an overview of Mending Walls. So this is the mission statement from their website. Basically, Mending Walls is a collaborative, community-engaged art project that aims to advance social justice by connecting community members from different backgrounds in conversation to foster empathy, understanding, and healing. And then this "we need to talk" was kind of like their promotional slogan when the project started. And the founder of the project, Hamilton Glass, he talks a lot about, the art is beautiful, it's amazing art, but the real point and purpose of Mending Walls is the conversation and needing to talk about important issues and foster empathy and understanding. And so we're gonna watch a short video of the project has a documentary, Mending Walls documentary, and we're just gonna watch the trailer of the documentary, kind of give an overview of the project. Oh, okay, cool.
When the George Floyd thing happened, I was getting really frustrated about why so many people were now seeing this George Floyd as different. It's been carnage after carnage after carnage, and I was upset about it. And so I reached out to the artist Matt Lively and had a conversation with him, who had a totally different viewpoint on it than I did. He was telling me like why it was different to him, and it gave me some hope, and it really like made me think of doing something different. Maybe getting together a project that put artists together from different backgrounds to collaborate on public art projects and getting them to be like a microcosm of what society needs to do right now.
Reconciliation implies that we were connected or together in the first place, right? We were never connected in the first place.
I'm always trying to better myself, you know? I'm not great at that, but I try, and hearing your experiences adds to that, right? It helps me gain some empathy for how others, including you, grew up and your experiences, you know, and how that contrasts my experiences.
10,000 hours ain't enough for the goal. I see your head. This pain, it don't want me to grow, but I'm being led to my destination, driven by motivation. What you call a slow creep, I call pacing. Patience, destiny is what I'm chasing. Facing many challenges while embracing. Yeah.
We need to talk, we need to listen, and we need to empathize and connect.
I see public art as a way to have a greater conversation, and that's what this project is about.
That energy of just togetherness and this representation that we created in that neighborhood was like a little pocket of hope for that, hour.
I know it's gonna take a lot of pain just to see the game, but I promise that I won't quit.
I like the collaboration where it doesn't feel like either of our separate work.
I don't want it to be vague. I want to be clear. It has to present a hopeful idea of how to move forward.
We came together and we had those tough talks. Before we talked art, before we talked anything, we talked to family. I got a chance to get to know them.
So I work until my hands ain't clean. It's a risk. I expand until the chance ain't seen. Take a second to breathe. Now I'm back at the max. I would never let up. In fact, look, and I won't stop.
For the first time in forever, some people are seeing things in a different light, and that gives me hope.
Technology's hard sometimes. Okay. Now if I could just get out of okay. Sorry. Okay. So that documentary, it's a really great documentary. I love it. It talks about the artistic process, as you saw, but also the meaning, more importantly, I think, the concepts behind it and the message that they're wanting to convey through the project. And it's like 50 minutes long in total. I've shown it to my high school students and to middle school students as well in like excerpts. So I usually like will show excerpts from it and then do like film notes, handouts for it. And I just think it's a great and kind of easy way to engage with the project as well with students. And as you kind of saw in the video, there were pairs. If you've noticed, there were like pairs of artists talking about each of the murals. So I don't think I mentioned that, but a huge part of this project, the collaborative aspect of the project, really stems from the murals being made by artist pairs. So it was very intentional that Hamilton, the founder of the project who spoke throughout the video, he paired two different artists of different cultural backgrounds together for each mural in order to kind of be a catalyst for those like deeper conversations around understanding and embracing difference. So Just wanted to note that before we're going to do a little quick reflection as a group right now on one of the murals. This mural is part of the project. And so we're just going to spend like a minute or so if people could like put a thought or word in the chat of something that they see in this mural, something that they think about it, a feeling it brings forth for them, or a question that they wonder about it, or any one of those things. And then I'm gonna break it down a little more. So Elizabeth said, I wonder what the figure is holding and where they are going. Good question. Let's see. Abby said, I noticed first the waves in the photo. Reminds me of the adventures I wanted to take as a child. Love this image. Yeah, I love this image too. Wonder where the mural is. Okay, yep, we're gonna talk about that. Creates a feeling of adventure, endless possibility. I love that, Romeo. I feel curious, location of the mural. Gonna get into that. Sense of calm and hope. Those are all great. Wonder why the artist chose to paint her in water. She seems destined for somewhere. Okay, these are great. I want to read all of them. So just to give a little more context to the mural, so it's called Journey Forward, and the artist pair that worked on this is Nad Harvin and Humble, who are Richmond-based artists. So this mural is in Richmond. All of the murals in this project are located across Richmond. And this one, on a side note, is actually located right outside of a local community art center called Art 180. And it's actually specifically tailored towards empowering Black youth in Richmond and providing free art programming for them. So it's very fitting, I think, that this particular mural is in that location. And people made a lot of great observations. So we see a young child riding a wave, like endless possibilities of future journeys and adventures. I think those are great points to make. Someone was wondering what they're holding. I know it's hard to see. I wish I could zoom in, but if you look really closely and like bring your head closer, there's actually a paint palette in their arm, and then hanging from their shorts is like a brush with paint splattering on it. And so this is probably my favorite mural in the project, just because I think it gets at the heart of what I see art education being, and education really, and what I think this particular session is about: mending our classrooms and helping our students, especially our young Black students, feel empowered, to be able to stand tall and navigate through all the turmoil of life, and through art particularly, because it's kind of implied with this young figure that maybe they're an artist because of the art supplies. And so I just really love this mural. I think it speaks to exactly what we're talking about here today. And we're going to talk more about this mural again, actually, at the end of the session as well. So there's some other really great points I want to bring up, but I won't do it right now. So in general, there's a lot of ways to engage with the Mending Walls project. As I've mentioned, it started out as just a public art project, and it has since expanded a lot. They're now officially a nonprofit, and these are just some of the ways to engage with the project. So, they have the murals, and they also do mural tours. So if you're ever in Richmond or are able to take a field trip to Richmond, they do bike tours and like walking tours of various different murals. And then the community conversations are really the community engagement that I mentioned, of them pulling community members into conversations. So again, that's more of a local one. Like if you're in the area, they do the community paint days, and talks around the murals, and community partnerships. So the more recent murals a part of this project have expanded from just the artist pair to also incorporating a local community organization or business. So there is a mural that is connected to a local mental health organization, another one to local agricultural farmers in the area. And so the concept and visuals in the mural kind of go along with the mission of the particular community partner and the dialogue that they have with the artists. And then the podcast, so each mural has podcasts associated with it, where the artists, and if there's a community partner there in the podcast as well, talk about their process and the meaning behind it. And they're available on their website, but they're also, I believe, when you're at each mural site, you can scan a QR code that will allow you to listen to the podcast, the documentary that we just watched the trailer for. And then they also have a book. So see, no, you can't see what I'm holding. Oh, oh, okay. I don't know, but oh, okay. There's a book. It's really hard to show you, but if I'm also going to share like all these resources at the end as well, so you can look it up and maybe see some screenshots of it yourself. But the book basically is just another a modality of engaging with it. It outlines several of the murals and the artists and the concepts behind it again. So just another mode. And then they also have a K through 12 activities guide, which is something that I utilized when I first started engaging with students in this project. And it just walks through a few activities that you can do with students revolving around the murals and engaging with the project. So again, I will share all the resources at the end. And so for me, I really started utilizing this project within my graduate research. So it was really the centerpiece to my thesis work at VCU. And I used Mending Walls as the essential community resource for being able to provide beneficial or facilitate beneficial collaboration for underinvested Black youth in Richmond. That was kind of what my graduate research was about. And I actually developed a curricular guidebook around that topic and the ways to engage with mending walls and the concepts behind the murals. And I'm going to share that in the resources as well. It's in this QR code, but you don't need to scan the QR code because it'll be at the end. And then from that research, really the three major takeaways that I got from it are kind of what guide my teaching practice now in all settings, really. And I think it starts with first acknowledging students' cultural struggles. And then once we do that, we can more authentically engage with the surrounding community that they're in and really provide more real world applications. And then through that, we could cultivate positive pathways for their future. So that's kind of like my mindset to teaching, I think. And so these are just some screenshots from pages in the guidebook that relate to those three topics. So yeah. And then another thing that some other ways that I've engaged with it, I'll just kind of briefly go through them. So this is an engagement I did at the Journey Forward mural with a community organization in Richmond, where we did a See, Think, Feel, Wonder kind of discussion, and then students made their own paintings. And then this is the Visual Arts Center of Richmond, which they actually have a Mending Walls mural on one of their walls called Silence Isn't Golden. And so I've engaged with that with students teaching at the Visual Arts Center in the summers. And so we kind of use it as like a starting point for how students can talk about and address important issues in our society or things that feel important to them or matter to them. And if you have questions about these, I can also answer them at the end as well, because there's a lot more that I want to talk about, but I don't have time to talk about. And so in that class, we did like posters and they made stickers and shared them. So that was really cool. And then I've also engaged with high schoolers in several different ways. Usually it's some form of like research. So with this class, they listened to the podcast about one of the murals and then did research through listening, and they created projects and groups that were like visual essays responding to the mural. So like one group did reflection for change, this mural. And so a student created an artwork based on the main idea that they uncovered about the mural, and then supporting evidence, and then like a conclusion. So like a visual essay. And then another group did this one. This was some of their like process work and notes and research, and they had to present on it. And then these are some of the final projects there. And then I've done visual journaling in response to watching the documentary with high school students. So this is some of those. And then this is around the time when I started to incorporate the See, Think, Feel, Wonder framework a little more thoroughly, thoughtfully, like written out with handouts, which is the activity that we're gonna do in just a minute. I'll just like kind of like breeze through some of the visuals because I just want to show and like make space for all their like really nice artwork that they made in response to these murals, to this project. And then at the school that I'm currently at, these are some of the ways that I engaged with students, mini murals in groups. And we also did some printmaking in middle school. And then most recently back at the Viz Arts Center in Richmond this past summer, I actually had the fortune and opportunity to be able to have Hamilton Glass, the founder, come and just be in community with the students in a collaborative zine making class that we did around social justice. And in this class, we did mural tours actually with Nad, who was one of the artists of Journey Forward. So that was it was just a nice like full circle moment to feel in community with them. So just wanted to share those. So now we're gonna do an activity in breakout rooms. So I'm gonna explain it a little bit, and then if you have questions, let me know. So essentially, you're gonna get assigned into a breakout room, and you're gonna have access to this document. And in the document, it has like the numbers. If it loads, you'll see. Okay, so if you're like breakout room 1, you would be like number 1 mural, breakout room 2, number 2. And so it has the title of the mural, an image, and then the See, Think, Feel, Wonder framework and some guiding questions related. So we're just gonna spend like 5 minutes in the breakout rooms. And if you just want to talk about the things that you see in your group, you can totally do that. Or you could go through each one, and then however much we get through is whatever you get through is fine. I just want us to have some thoughtful reflection on murals, and then we'll go through each one as a group after the 5 minutes is over. I don't know if anybody has questions. Okay, here we go. So, anybody from group 1, African American Gothic, can I share?
I can share. So something we kind of talked about was just like the strong kind of stance that the man is holding, like with the fork. And we kind of all agreed the way it makes us feel like there's not like an overwhelming kind of emotion, but it is definitely like a standing up for something kind of emotion for sure.
Proud, strong stance. Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks for sharing. And then group 2.
I can share. So when we were looking at this mural, um, I think Ray noted that the figure, the woman in the middle, is holding a loudspeaker or an amplifier. And then Abby noted that the two birds seem to be like messengers that would like spread her message in different directions. And yeah, I think generally the colors and the flowers were so bright and vibrant that we were thinking that the message was promising, joyful, overall, a very beautiful message and imagery.
Beautiful. Beautiful, yeah. Thank you for sharing. I don't know why I never thought about the birds as messengers. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Thank you. Was there a group 3?
Yes.
Oh.
We identified 2 figures and we wondered if they were maybe from the same time period or different ones. We also noticed several symbols, some of which we recognized really immediately and some of which we had a lot of questions about, especially sort of the section that's on the column. We weren't sure what that was. And we decided there would be a lot of discussion for both adult and for young viewers about, the positive and negative and ambivalent connotations of all those symbols.
Yeah, that's great. I also have questions about this one. So I unfortunately probably wouldn't be able to answer some of your questions. But yeah, this one's very powerful. A lot of symbols in it, for sure. Thanks for sharing. I feel like there wasn't more than 3. Was there a 4th?
Yeah, we had
Okay.
our group.
Everyone.
So one thing we know, there's a lot to unpack with this one. The words on the wall say Black Lives Matter, we need to talk, mi casa es su casa. So kind of like this collaboration between like 2 different cultures coming to light. And then in this kind of caution tape rope that's wrapping around these 2 individuals are the names of people who have died at the hands of police officers. And one thing to note is that once you get to the bottom of the list of the names, there's this and that's kind of just looming and daunting that like this is a continuing issue that people keep dying, being murdered, more so. And we were wondering, like who these 2 people are, if there's any deeper meaning between why like they're back to back. It kind of looks like their arms are intertwined and that sort of thing.
Those are all great insights. Thank you so much for sharing. Yeah. This one I think was actually one of the very first ones that they made. I won't like blab on about it, but yeah. So this one's very powerful for sure. I feel okay. That's probably it, right? It was 4, I think. Yeah. Okay. So we will. I loved all the prompt the questions and wondering that was happening. I won't necessarily be able to address all of those, but you can always also listen to their podcast if you ever have a moment on their website, because they'll have a lot of great insights to a lot of things you were wondering. I don't want to spend like the last 10 minutes that we have going over some of other references that we can make to some of the artworks that we've just looked at, and kind of touching on some of the points that people just made in their groups. And then we're going to do like, if time allows, like a quick little interactive survey, just reflecting on things that we took away from the session. So I just wanted to note like 3 of the pieces that really stand out to me and other very famous pieces that we can compare and contrast. And I haven't necessarily done this with my students, but I think it's worthwhile to explore, not only in art, but also in history. If there's any history teachers, for sure, I think this would be really impactful in history lessons or civics lessons. So with the first one, African American Gothic, I don't know if anybody's familiar with the American Gothic, the classic painting of that. So it's really juxtaposing that painting, but instead the figures that are featured here they're real people in Richmond they are agricultural farmers in the area that strive for healthier food for the Richmond community. So that's who's pictured here. And it's that sense of strength and pride that I think the group discussed I think is very evident, and the representation aspect of this piece also I think is very influential. So that's just a little bit about that one. And then with the Liberty Luther people, there are so many things that you can pull from this, as the group noted. But with this one, you can compare it to Statue of Liberty, but a Black figure and her arms are open rather than closed in. maybe reaching out to others. And then as the group noted, there's the megaphone in her hand, maybe to raise her voice or raising the voices of others, spreading the message like the group mentioned. So a lot of great references you can make. And then last one I wanted to point out was with the first mural that we looked at. I see nodding like they saw that too, maybe. Yeah, so the artists Nad and Humble talk about this directly, is that they wanted to remix the Washington crossing the Delaware and kind of juxtapose it with a young Black child instead of Washington. And I think this piece is just really amazing to me, and because of what Washington represents versus what a young Black child would represent. I think this one's really powerful and uplifting, particularly for Black youth, and would be interesting to explore conceptually with students. So with all that in mind, I wanted to take a moment, if you're able, like on your, if you have your phone or something. Also, we can put the QR code in the chat, or not the QR code, but the link that the QR code sends you to, and it's an interactive survey. Julio's gonna put it in the chat, and I'm gonna transition to the presentation of it. Okay, here. Let me see if I can share. Okay. So it's just 3 questions that we'll kind of walk through. So the first one is asking, like, it could be 1 word, it could be up to 3 words, and you kind of just plug them in that you would use to describe Mending Walls project. And then it's gonna like generate the like word cloud on the page as people put in words. So let me know if it's having any difficulties accessing it. Okay, cool. Ooh, okay, cool. So representation, community, healing, connection, evocative, resistance, local. Yeah, local is a big part of it too. Okay, I will blab on and on, but that like community engagement that like directly represents the community and not somebody just like coming in telling them what it could be or should be. It's really big too. Empowering, joy. This is great. Yeah. Community. So like the words that are like bigger, it means the word came up more. So community, strength, those are big ones. Healing, empowering. Yeah, these are great. Okay. I'm gonna go to the next question. These are great. I'm gonna go to the next question though. So the next question is, which Mending Walls engagement point would you be most likely to use? So it's like those like sliding scales. So if you would be really likely to use a documentary, you put a 5 or okay, a lot of people say the tours. Okay, that would, I think that's like the best engagement, honestly. Yeah. Yeah, the documentary I feel like is the most accessible for sure. But if you can get to Richmond, do tour, so people, DMV area, it's not too far. That would be really, really cool trip. Cool, nice. And then the last question I'm gonna go to now is, oh, okay, cool. Okay, so you guys can still go through it, even though I wasn't sure how it worked. Okay, great. Okay. Last question is how you see Mending Walls uplifting Black youth. So I just wanted to see people, see offering counter narratives of hope. Yeah, I love that, counter narratives. Yeah. Reverse narrative. I like that language too. Empowering. Super accessible for all ages. Yes. Yeah. Allowing students to share their struggles, their accomplishments, seeing how their peers live differently and come together. I think that that is a big aspect of this too. That understanding of different perspectives is something that our society really lacks. So I think it's really beneficial. Yeah, these are great. Thank you so much. Let's see. I think I can just sit out. Oh, okay. Cool. Okay, cool. Good on time. That leaves us with last few minutes just for the ending. Yeah. So thank you so much for coming to my session. And like bringing community together. I would really love to connect, especially I'm really excited about the ways that mending walls can apply to fields and subject matter beyond just the art classroom and other ways that we can engage it. I know Hamilton, like his big thing, the founder of the project, his big thing is like propelling like this project forward to have projects like this around the country and like, to engage with different educational platforms. So I think it'd be really cool to see how this could be more integral to education at large, or the concept of it at least, I think could be impactful on transforming our society, I think, even though it sounds a little grandiose.